So the first tank we're gonna look at are these tetras that are like $50 a piece. And I know you're saying, what tetras? All I can see is algae. This is not a show tank, it's not a planet tank. This tank is just for these tetras to grow out and hopefully spawn. And of course there are a couple Corridoras. These are Corridoras Amandagenia, something like that. But I'm gonna let Chelsea tell you about these fish whilst I clean this glass.
Okay, so these I have wanted for a very long time. These are a Phenacogrammus aurantiacus, and they are known as the lamp-eye Congo tetra. Once you are able to get a better look at them, because I know right now you can't really see anything, you'll notice how beautiful and blue their eyes and the tip of their mouths are, and then their bodies like a really beautiful like marigold yellow color. They have beautiful iridescence. They're just beautiful. I don't know how many times I can say beautiful, but really they deserve it. So I'm really excited to watch them continue to grow and develop, because right now they're not even close to their full potential. They're getting there, but they're not there
What's
yet.
the story with this fish? Like, where do they come from?
So,
how hard are they to get?
They're from part of the Congo River system known as the Malabo Pool. And they actually, I think they're spread throughout Cameroon as well. There's a few different areas, not a ton though. They're not everywhere, but they're definitely throughout the Congo River system. And they're not easy to get. Like anything else from the Congo or from West Africa or that area, even Central Africa, it can be really difficult to get anything. So the fact that we finally got our hands on these guys, there's a nice one. I'm so excited. I really hope they spawn. There's not really a whole lot of information as far as people in the aquarium hobby spawning these guys. I don't even know if I've heard one real success story. I know a few people have tried, but there's really been no progress made there. So I don't know why we think we're going to be the first, but you know what? I think we could do it.
So here is a nice giant spawn of our Sahika cichlids.
Yeah, that is quite the spawn.
Yeah, I don't even know what number of spawn we're on here.
No.
We just spawned a lot.
Yeah, they're probably on at least their like 7th spawn, something like that, 6th or 7th spawn. And each time it gets progressively larger, which you'll find is kind of common with Central American cichlids, with really, oh, there you go, really any cichlid. Once they get used to it, they were younger when they started spawning, so now that they've had a little more time to perfect it, they're having more and more babies. I would venture to say there's probably 300 fry in there, around that. There's a ton. They're everywhere. And the really cool thing about a breeding tank is, look at them. They're just everywhere on everything. They don't have to be worried. They have mom and dad still protecting them from nothing, but they're, still doing their job. And they're great parents, the Sahikas. They really, I'm impressed. Last time we left their spawn with them for probably, it was over a month and a half, I think, and the male started showing some aggression to the female, so we had to take her out. We left the spawn in there with him for probably another week, and then I pulled them and put her back in, and within, it was less than a week, and they already had another batch. So
I would like to point out, there's plenty of breeders out there that keep their tanks crystal clean. We can think of Dean and many others, but I love dirty spawning tanks. You can see the fry all day. They just pick at this algae, and they're not eating algae. They're eating all the micro crustaceans that are
all
growing.
The organisms, yep, everything in there.
And it's very fun to watch all day long. All they do is graze this algae, and obviously we feed them too.
Really, this is what it would look like in nature if they had a spawn and they were out, roaming around in a river system. This is what it would be like. There'd be mulm, there'd be algae, there'd be all kinds of things. For me, I also prefer this type of breeding tank because I feel like it really brings out natural behavior, and they feel more comfortable. They have a lot of cover in there. There's a lot of food for everybody, so I think that's why we're able to leave them for so long, is because they feel very confident.
And we can take a look at some larger fry over here.
Yes, here's a couple of their other spawns. I think we have maybe 2 or 3 generations in here. At least 2 generations, maybe 3. So you can see there's kind of a larger female right there in the middle, and she's been there. I think we forgot to take her on our last trip to the wet spot. I think she hung around for a while. But there's probably about 20 or so T-bar in there, and then we have the Pelvicochromis drachenfelsii on the bottom. And those guys are getting big finally. They have taken forever to grow out, but they're starting to get really nice color. And I've heard these guys are not easy to spawn, so I'm still really proud that our pair was able to get that done for us, because we have a pretty good amount of them, and they're great fish. They're absolutely beautiful. So these guys have been really enjoyable to watch grow out. And they do really well together because obviously the Sahicas are like mid-level to upper-level swimmers and the pelvic chromas stand out low. So.
And if you're wondering how we were able to buy $50 tetras, this is it right here, our breeding projects. We paid for those tetras in store credit from turning in our fry. And here is an old breeding project that just looks awesome. However, there's no spawning going on as far as I can tell. So this is just a 20-gallon tall that is probably 5 to 6 inches thick of moss. There's 2 female Epistogramma urethras in here. And there was a trio, but the male disappeared. I'm sure he unfortunately passed away and got buried in here. But prior to that, this is where I bred my orange lasers, and they're still in here. And for the first time ever, I'm going to start pulling back some of this moss and see what we find. I'm hoping there's just like 100 orange lasers in here, but there's probably like a dozen or none.
I think as you touch things, they'll probably disappear. You know how good they are at that.
Yeah, they're very shy.
Everything in this tank is very elusive. We don't see see them very often. When the
There's
lasers
one.
pop out, they look beautiful against all that green.
And now I've just ruined this tank. I was really hoping for like
It'll be
some
all right.
sweet reveal of just 100 cories down there, but
They really enjoy all that moss, though. That's why they rarely come out.
let's just keep sliding over. Here we have our native tank with our rainbow shiners and darters and plants that just don't want to grow.
Nope.
Some
It's pretty Dr. Seuss looking in there,
yeah,
actually.
some nice stems.
It's pretty sad.
But the shiners look amazing. We're really male heavy.
We have, I believe, somewhere around 8 or 9 males and maybe 3 or 4 females. So we definitely need to even that ratio out a bit. But it makes for a pretty stunning display because the males are constantly sparring and going after each other.
Now I notice it looks like some cories have made their way in here that weren't in here before.
Yes, they have.
But anywho, not a lot has changed here except for the plants dying off. No spawning, and if they are spawning, then the darters are probably, and cories are probably just eating the eggs. So that's what's going on in this tank. Nothing really or nothing of note, I should say, going on in this tank. Just looks really cool. Really beautiful fish. So I want to show this tank because we recently did a live stream, which we live stream every Monday evening, about fostering good relations with your local fish store. And this is a benefit of having a good relationship. So we stopped by to get some feeder guppies for some reptiles, and they got a shipment of feeder guppies that were laced with Heterandria formosa, of all things, which I've been wanting for a really long time. There's one in the back there. This is the least killifish. It's the world's smallest live bear, and if you look back in the back there, you can see this just happened today. There was no fry in here yesterday, so one of them pooped out some fry.
They have live bared.
Yep.
There it is.
They have
Ooh,
bared.
There's a lot. There's more back there too. I'm seeing at least 6.
There was a couple of really fat females, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that they finally spawned, although finally it's been like 3 weeks since we've had them.
Give them a break. God.
No pressure in this fish
really.
room. And because they were contaminants, they were very inexpensive, practically giving them away since they couldn't sell them as guppies. So yeah, support your local fish store, even though this came from a Petco. Some Petcos are good, just gotta form that relationship. Alright, but moving on to the 33-gallon long. If you missed the video of setting this up, I'll either link it down below or have a card pop up in the corner here if you're interested in watching that. If you did watch it, you'll notice this tank looks a lot different because they have landscaped the tank, which is what they do, and there are just a ton of spawns in here.
So many that it's hard to even keep track. So
And
there's a lot of babies.
in every one of these little holes with shells, there are fry. If we're patient enough, we can watch them come out. There's one right at the end of the shell. We can see them back in this group of shells back here, popping in and out. There's another spawn. These guys are going to be a little bit larger. You can see them all bebopping around. So we've already got a ton of fry. And in that video, I did mention, like, if you make them happy, they'll spawn within days, and they certainly did. The tank is looking great. Quick recap, we have some Bulbitis fern, dwarf sage, and then it's just filtered with this Hamburg Matten filter, and that's it.
It's a perfect tank as far as I'm concerned. It's so enjoyable.
It's
These
a
guys are
very
hilarious.
very fun tank to watch, although I'm well aware that once these multis start getting going and there's hundreds in here, we're definitely going to get some algae. But for right now, it looks great. It's fun to watch, and you can just stand here and stare forever. And I don't know, it's just fun. I can't say enough things about Shelleys. They're popular for a reason. They're really fun. Every time you come in here, there's more mountains moved around. That's all they do all day long.
I feel like they stare at us as much as we stare at them, and that's part of fish that I really enjoy. When they want to look at you too, it's really pretty fun. They're great fish.
And here's another sweet little tank of ours. This is a 20-gallon long pencilfish community tank, and there are lots of pencilfish in here. What do we have in here?
Well, we have a smorgasbord of pencils in here. Predominantly, I think we have the most of they're the purple pencilfish. So Nanostomus rubricatus. They're really pretty. I'm trying to find. Basically, their males are the ones that look very similar to like a coral red pencilfish. They have a lot of red on the body and then some barring. We also have my favorite pencilfish, which is Nanostomus equus, and they're kind of in the background sitting at that 45-degree angle. Yep, there's the rubricatus. So there's a male and a female right there. You can see that male has gorgeous color. Female is still very pretty, just not nearly as colorful as the male. But then, like I said, kind of in the background and over to this side, we have a female and a male equus right there. So that female, you can tell she's got a really round belly and is pretty large, and that male in the background is a lot more slender. And he never leaves her alone. So that's another reason that I know. I know we have a couple Beckfords in here, and then potentially I think we might also have an Unifasciatus, or the one-line pencils. It's really hard to tell with some of these because they're different localities, and some of them just look so similar. I can't say for certain, but everybody gets along great. There's no problems. They're pencilfish. I mean, they may kind of like flash their fins at each other for a second or bump into each other, but there's no harm. It's really cool to see all the different types of pencils together, I think. This is a tank I really enjoy looking at. Plus, I think that the plants look great. It's just a really functional, happy tank.
And I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is dwarf sage, one of the 3 plants that grows well for us in our water.
Yeah, really.
It's dwarf sage, it's bulbitis, and then jungle val, or any val actually, tends to do pretty well for us in this fish room. Outside of that,
nope.
We got some crypts that do well, but if you just look at them, they melt, so that's kind of annoying. There's also some Corydorus citri in here somewhere.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do
There's
come out every now and
one.
then.
It's so thick in here, it's hard to see. There's another one down here, and of course, anytime you flash your camera at them, they run. And as far as this tank, it's only filtered with the Easy Flow sponge filter. Lighting is the co-op light, and it is so ridiculously bright. It's at 10%.
Yeah, that's 10%.
So the co-op light at 10% is doing this in a 20 long, which
amazing.
is pretty bonkers.
Yeah, it's definitely overachieving, that's for sure.
All right, now we're gonna look at some failures on my part. Well, basically one failure.
I don't think it's a failure.
Let's go take a look. Okay, so for the 8 people that watched the video of my 20 long pea puffer tank, this is what it looks like now, and it actually is rebounding. It's on its way to looking better. Over here I planted with Boos that is all dead now. And I am done with Boos. I'm over Boos.
Yeah.
I'm convinced it's not an aquatic plant. The only times I've seen people successful with it is when they are just gassing CO2 like crazy. But again, a pea puffer species only tank. I think there's maybe 10-ish in here. And I'm gonna drop some mosquito larvae in here because it's super fun to watch them.
Yeah, these guys are
eat.
little hunters that will ferociously go after things, and it's very enjoyable to watch. This is, oh, that's a good time right there. They're so spastic when this happens, I swear.
Also, all the crypts melted back as well, and that's what created all this mulm down here. So this is all dead Boos, dead crypt leaves, and then I also added, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, geez.
Stargrass in here because it's a fast-growing plant, and I'm hoping it kind of absorbs a lot of the nitrates that are going on in here, which surprisingly there is a decent amount. But it's so fun.
Far from a failure of a tank as far as I'm concerned. I still really love that rock wall you built. I think this is a great tank. And these fish love the tank. They seem to do really well in it, and that's what's most important. Happy little puffers. No aggression at all. None whatsoever. Oh, got it. Got it.
Missed it.
Oh, they're so funny the way they go after him. It's like I said, it's very spicy. He's gonna get another one right there. Get it, get it, get it. Yeah, there we go. That was a good one. That was a big one.
Focusing on it.
Well, you know, they're peas.
A lot of them are freaking out because I'm shoving a camera in their face. And Dan brought up a good point that the lenses probably look like giant fish eyes from giant predators. And because we're always complaining that once we start filming, the fish start hiding. And that's actually pretty smart. It's a pretty good point. So.
I think these guys don't know whether they want to go after the food or hide from the camera. So they're kind of like vacillating between the two. But food wins in the end for puffers generally.
So I think just a couple more gravel backs, probably another month or two. All these crypts will be grown back in. Like I said, in our water, you just have to look at them funny and they melt, which is unfortunate. But overall, I do like this. So this is all Anubias Nana Petite now. Got a real plant in here instead of that crappy Boost junk.
That's why it's alive.
Yeah, which is why it's alive. But you see like the dirty clump back there, this little clump right here. Like one Boost leaf on there. I don't know, it might come back, but I'm very skeptical and I'll probably never waste money on Boost again. So the last tank I want to update you on is this 40-gallon. You can see we have some algae in there. Again, I added some stargrass. We've got some val in here now and some dwarf sage. Some fast-growing stuff that'll hopefully outcompete that algae. But this has the Hyphesibrycon wadii in here. There's some skunk cories. I'm not sure what species that were collected by Corey in Peru. So that's kind of neat. There's a species Autobapo laticara in here.
That are hiding all the time now, so hopefully they're doing something.
Am I forgetting anything?
No, that's it. This is a very lightly stocked tank, but it works so well. And frankly, I try and maintain that algae and pull some off, but I don't think it looks terrible. Like it really doesn't bother me that much. I don't like when it, outcompetes the plants, but this is a tank that, really doesn't require that much effort and everybody does really well together. And those wadii just look insanely ridiculous against all that green.
Can you throw some food in there?
Yes, I can.
The Dr. Baslier?
Yep.
So we've been trying this new Dr. Baslier food, and so far the fish seem to like it. My only gripe is that it doesn't really list the ingredients, and we're ingredient snobs, so I don't really like that. Hopefully that'll change.
It smells awful, so it must be great, though,
Yeah, you can see, look how beautiful these fish are.
We've been feeding it really heavily for weeks now, so everybody seems to really enjoy it. They look at them, they go crazy for it. That's the reaction of all the fish that I feed this food to. So
it is, I believe, 60% protein, which is really cool, but again, it doesn't say where the protein is from, which is not very cool. But the fish look great, they eat it, and we got this food for free, just so you know, it was free to try out. We're not sponsored by them, however, and we're not required to give it a glowing review if we don't like it. But like I said, the only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't show the ingredients, which is kind of sketchy, but overall, the fish seem to love it.
Yeah, their color looks great. We already feed really high quality foods in general, so I think our fish's color always looks pretty nice, but I really go off of their behavior, and when they're that excited to eat, it's a good thing. So I'm a fan. And I like the small granules. It works really well for a lot of our earth eaters too who need smaller food. It's great.
And I just can't get over these fish. This is a $10 tetra, folks. Look how awesome they look. It's just... We are
just under keeping these. I feel like not enough people have them for, why are we buying certain other tetras and not these? They don't harm anybody. They're really peaceful to other species and don't cause any problems. They're not even really nippy with each other, which is great for a tetra, and especially with their size. So the color payoff. When we got these fish, they looked ridiculous. They were silver and colorless and boring, and it took about 6 to 8 months for them to really start putting on size and color, but once they did, it just got better and better, and I feel like it still does. So great fish. Love them.
And I want to give you some updates on some future projects we got going on in the fish room. Well, really, Chelsea has going on in the fish room. But real quick, I'm going to talk about my cories because I love my cories. This tank is basically one-offs. Back 2-3 years ago when I was starting to get cories and start collecting them, there was something wrong in the supply chain and you'd buy like 12 and one would survive. It was very annoying. But here they are, all by themselves now. So there's a Rebutii, there's an elegans, there's a Lorotoensis in there, and right there in the middle. And then down here, another project going on here, but my Aspidoras roachi are in here, and they've been colony spawning in this community tank. Very beautiful Balzanii back there.
That's the one male that's eluded me, so I gotta get him after this.
The one large male.
He's the one last male.
You'll hear about him in a second. But these guys have been spawning in here with all these other fish, and a few survive. And I started with 8. There's probably a couple dozen in here at this point, and I've also been moving them around to other tanks. In the fish room altogether, there's probably 50 or 60 of them, and I just think it's pretty neat that I'm able to do that with these and spread them around to different tanks. I also have Aspidoras spilotus, but I have all females, so nothing going on there, which is very disappointing. But so what are you doing to these tanks? Tell us about them.
Well, yeah, they're destroyed right now, obviously. I pretty much was flip-flopping 2 tanks. So you have the one remaining Balzanii male who has been eluding me for about a day and a half now, who hopefully after this I can get my hands on because he is going to move up to the tank where the betta used to be. So there's also betta simorum in there, and they're a wild type betta. So there's one actually right in the middle, right there, hanging out. And we have
over there too.
Yep, 3 males and 1 female, which is unfortunate, but I'm still trying to decide what I want to do with them because they're really enjoyable to watch spawn. They're bubble nesters, but the males will hold spawn or the fry in their mouth, and I think it's just a really interesting process. So I'd love to get some fry from them, but still deciding what exactly to do. We have the dwarf gold barbs in there too, which I'm still, and hopefully you have some input on exactly what to do with them because they're really, really cool fish. And I feel like stuff on the bottom maybe just doesn't get eyes on it quite as much, which is why I kind of want to leave the bettas alone and keep my eye on the Balzanii, which is why they are moving to the middle row. I'm really hoping to see some spawning activity from them. We really need them to pair off, so I need to keep a close eye on them. We have 2 males and I believe 4 females. So perfect ratios as far as, pairs go. We just need something to happen. And they're young still. They definitely do not look like much, and the females will never have that much color, but when those males get up to sexual maturity, they will be some of the most beautiful fish you've ever seen with the most ridiculous nuchal hump ever, and I love that. So I think in this tank, there's going to be less hardscape, less plants, because the Balzanii really enjoy having the sand to sift through, so the more space they have on the bottom, the better. And the bettas, it's kind of the opposite. I think I'm going to be heavily planting that tank and putting a lot of hardscape because they really enjoy hiding in cover. So kind of just doing whatever and figuring it out as I go, but there's nothing I love more than deconstructing and reconstructing tanks. So
I just can't get over how awesome these barbs are. I think these are Pethia galeus, if I remember correctly.
That's correct.
And this was my acquisition.
Yeah, this was a good this was an excellent choice.
And guys, these are like a $6 or $7 barb, and they're absolutely stunning. I don't know if that orange is coming across.
They're so peaceful.
On camera,
they're so nice. We've kept them with several different species already, with cichlids, with anabantids, with just different stuff, and they are nice to everything. They don't fight with each other. They're great fish. Yeah, there's a lot of random stuff. These tanks are definitely in flux, so they're a work in progress.
Don't judge us too harshly.
There's paradise fish in there, but they're all going to be moving somewhere. So
if you're not subscribed, make sure you are so you can get an update on these, because this guy, when we actually get a film out on these Balzanii, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, he's starting to look really, that's our dominant male, and he's starting to look really nice. He's already got a pretty good size hump going on, so I'm excited about him.
But there you go. That's basically the state of our fish room right now. There's a lot more tanks that we didn't show because a lot of stuff is getting broken down, and we're getting rid of a lot of stuff at the moment. But this is what we're focusing on right now, and it's been a while since we've done a fish room update. Now you know where we're at in the fish room. So if you liked what you saw, again, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, all that nonsense. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out. And hopefully we'll see you all in the next video. You gonna say goodbye?
No.
You gonna say go buy fish?
Nope.
Okay.
Bye, go buy fish.